might not be the whole. Okay, here we go. All right, so welcome today to Getting Unplugged for our remote learning and using computer science and STEM to get some kids away from the screen a little bit, but still have some learning going on. So again, what is STEM? Like, where do I even start? A lot of times people are like, STEM, it's just complicated, it's a silo, but really it's not. And a lot of times people get frazzled, and stepping back and just asking yourself, where do I start, is a great way. And so there's a lot of supports out there, me being one of them. Scott also helps with some of our STEM education as well. And then there's also teacher leaders in districts that can help with getting started with STEM and computer science in the classroom. But the definition unplugged simply means that they're not sitting in front of the screen. You don't need technology for these things. And as you see throughout this presentation, there's a lot of things that you already do in your daily routine that is STEM and computer science related. So a big thing and a big buzzword right now is makerspace. And we're not necessarily saying you need a maker space. Sometimes I think that misconception is there as well. People think, oh, I need robotics and I need 3D printer and things like that. But not everyone has all the money in the world to do those things, nor do you even have this at home. So you have $3, everyone has their favorite excuses. I'd love to, but it's not in our school budget, or it's not in my budget. I already pay enough out of pocket, and we don't have updated technology. Well, we don't want to be Debbie Downers. We want to find solutions and be problem solvers. And so successful STEM makerspaces, really all you need is to build these 4 C's, or even just the STEM mindset, not necessarily even a makerspace. And the 4 C's are basically what 21st century learners need in order to be successful in today's world. So you have communication. How am I embedding communication into what my students are doing? Do they know how to communicate effectively? How am I getting them to think critically? As teachers and educators, we have Webb's depth of knowledge and we have Bloom's taxonomy. We could be asking, here's the thing, we could be asking students to do a high level Bloom's, but a low level Webb's. For example, I could have them creating something, but it's a low Webb's depth of knowledge. Like saying create a list of things that you do every day. That's a low level critical thinking skill, right? But so you want to keep thinking about your questioning strategies and how do you get them to think creatively and critically. Sorry, I was looking at the next one. The next C is creativity. So how are you getting students to think outside the box? How are you getting them to stretch their creativity and come up with other solutions and possibilities? And the last one is collaboration. And we've talked about collaboration in our online learning series here as well. But how do we get them to work together? This could be, if you're at home, it could be, how do you get them to work with their siblings? How do they work with you? Just because they're at home and not in a classroom setting doesn't mean that they can't collaborate. Teachers, when you're doing online instruction, whether it's asynchronous or synchronous, you could have them doing breakout sessions. You could have them having their own hangouts and meetings outside. If you're doing project-based learning virtually, they could be meeting. That's what I meant by outside, not literally outside. We want to keep in mind social distancing right now. But so these 4 C's are basically the foundation and the framework for STEM: communication, critical thinking, creativity, and collaboration. But with STEM, the STEM umbrella, we also have the computer science umbrella. And CS for All, the K-12, the CS framework there, and these are also embedded and linked into this presentation. So we'll link that into our online learning hub. They have 5 concepts and then practices for building this computer science framework as well. So among those 4 C's, you have the 4 C's, but then with concepts of computer science, it's computing systems, networks and internet, data and analysis, algorithms and programming, and my favorite, the impacts on global society. Oftentimes when we think of computer science, we think of just programming a computer or algorithms or code. It's not just that. And I think that's a huge misconception. a big part of it is, okay, so we have these algorithms and things. How is that going to impact our global society? And so when you think about a computer science focus, you want to think about these practices. How do you practice and foster a culture of this computing? How do they collaborate? Again, we see the word collaborate come up. How do we recognize and define these problems? So even having your students practice defining and recognizing problems is a huge step. How do they develop and use abstractions? How do they create the artifacts and test and refine? So almost that engineering and design process as well comes into play. And a big one, it comes in with the 4Cs again. How do they communicate about these problems? So how do they do this based off of the concepts? So where do you start? If we're in the classroom and we're, in buildings, we have some of these tools already. And especially with our lending library as well, we have these tools so you can sign them out. Right now in remote instruction, we don't necessarily have these things at our fingertips. So I'm here to tell you it's not just these tools. They can include tools at home, toilet paper rolls, again, things in the home, masking tape, popsicle sticks, toothpicks, empty water bottles, yarn, string, cardboard boxes. My niece right now they had a cardboard box, and just like, if you think about the critical thinking and the creativity, she's young, so my in-laws helped, but they built out of a cardboard box a new clubhouse for her. And so that's STEM, creating a little clubhouse, and then just think of the imagination and things that she could be having there and the creativity. So a prime example for you right now is cooking. If you think about cooking has a recipe, coding has an algorithm. So even just simply cooking with your child or cooking with your students is working with some programming. They're using if-then statements. If I add this, then this will happen. There's loops because you're repeating an action. Repeat steps 1 through 3, possibly. It depends on what recipe you're choosing. And they're sorting different ingredients, dry ingredients, sometimes liquid ingredients. And they're following instructions. So just right there, if you're having your students cook, if you're having your children or grandchildren, whoever you're working with, if you're having them cook, that is a primary example of computer science unplugged. There's a game called If-Then Backyard Game, and it's sort of like tag. So another example, getting them outside, right? One of the children can be the programmer, the other students are the computer. So, or the other kids are the computer. So the programmer gives an if statement. If you are wearing green, then run to the other side. So then everyone that's a computer would then run to the other side. So this fun game is sort of like, I guess like I used to do this in the classroom even, if you're wearing this, and I was a Spanish teacher, so I would say them in Spanish, if you're wearing red, stand up. So you're teaching them the frameworks of the if-then statements. And this is just something nice, get them outside, get them moving, even a nice little brain break. Some other things that we have for you we have 3 opportunities. So this website here has a bunch, so CS Unplugged, and if you click on the icons, it'll take you to the website. Scott, can you see that website? Okay. So it has a bunch of different unplugged activities. So out of, for the educators, topics, printables, curriculum integrations, we have at-home activities, and then coming soon is for students. So if I click on activities here, it will take me down to a bunch of different games. I'm looking here, hold on. Barcode magic trick, and it has a lesson plan there for you. So a bunch of different games that are unplugged. Again, students are not necessarily sitting at a computer. If you have offline students, you can print out these directions and resources they need and send them home. But great offline activities. The other one that I wanted to mention right now this would be, as a teacher, you would have to go on the internet to get these resources, and I pronounce this flukes, or flux, whichever one you want. They are having online STEAM challenges, and this is in collaboration with the Fab Lab, one of the other intermediate units. All of these competitions are closed right now. This is an online competition across the state. But if I click on here, I have this, generate your idea, build a prototype, and then share it. Obviously, they don't need to share it right now, but just having them walk through the steps of building their own invention is something that, you can grab any of these challenges here, and they're using things at home. Today, like the challenge is building an instrument, so making music. So here's all the directions. And instead of, if they are online, they can submit it for this competition and get chosen, hopefully by a raffle and win a gift card. But even just having this opportunity and giving them the challenge at home will work. Like, say, okay, I'd like you to build an instrument. Use this as craft materials and recyclables as much as you can and create an instrument. Again, you can use these kinds of things to enrich your own curriculum. You can use them to enhance your curriculum. You can use them as a foundation if you're doing grade level, say you're doing grade level instruction. Well, every grade level could start with a STEM challenge, and then you could do an English extension off of that, and a science extension, and a math extension based off of your STEM activity. One of the biggest things that our teacher leader groups right now in our region are working on is showing that STEM is not just a silo, right? It is a foundation used to enrich and enhance lessons that are already created. So the last opportunity I'm going to share with you that's coming up, is our STEM Express. And our STEM Express, and I'm going to close this right here and then open it up, is going to be a website on our Blast IU webpage, and it's created by teacher leaders within our membering districts. And we will be releasing STEM projects every Monday for the week, so in the month of May. So if you want to check back in on our website every Monday, the month of May, and we will be releasing new challenges that kids can do at home with their families, for school, or just for fun. And districts can hold their own local challenges or what have you. And you can use them like you would use the other activities. You can print them out, and the beauty of these is they're all challenges that students can use the resources better in their homes. So on our webpage, we will have a video of teachers giving directions. We will have a printout copy for those students that are offline, and then we'll also have extension suggestions. So there are plenty of unplugged activities that I encourage you to just sort of look at, unplug yourself, and enjoy, and get the kids thinking based off of those 4 C's, the critical thinking, communication, creativity, and collaboration. So at this time, I'm going to open up for any questions, and we'll stop the recording, and yes.